as well. Sad to say, viewers on BBC News are leaving us now. Thank you for your company. We're continuing the conversation about interest rates, though, and you taking your calls and messages on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Find us on your smart speaker too. So we will continue our conversation on 5 Live and carry on getting your texts as well. One listener saying here, I'd like to defend John on the South Coast. People are so judgmental. I don't think he was really complaining about his own financial position, was he? He seemed more concerned about his tenants. I'm a landlord too, and this is part of a cycle we will all have to ride out. I think you're making a fair point. I think John was more concerned about his tenants than anything else and trying to do the right thing by them. So look, we're going to be with you for the next hour on 5 Live. We're going to continue talking about this one as well. So keep your calls coming in. 08085 909 693. That is the number, as you well know. 85058 is the text number. The question we're asking this morning: is a rate rise good for you? Let us know your thoughts this morning.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
The voice of the UK.
Chris Warburton. Listen on BBC Sounds.
And thank you for your company this morning. It is Chris Warburton with you, in for Nikki Campbell. Your chance, as ever, to have your say on the biggest stories of the moment. It's one that affects us all, and it's meant that we've had calls from across the board, across the country as well. That's what we're always asking for on this programme, of course. The question, is a rate rise good for you? Interest rates looking likely. The smart money is on them, being put up again today. The Bank of England, they'll make the decision at midday. That's when they'll do it. We are seeing the fastest rise in rates in modern history at the moment. This will be the 14th consecutive rise. The 14th. It's all aimed at tackling inflation, right? Trying to control inflation, managing inflation. And we know it's a bitter medicine from the bank. This is the intention, getting us to borrow less, to spend less, and in theory, slow prices down, dampen demand. And it does appear to be working. The rate of inflation is now finally slowing. The last figures showed us as much, under 8% for the first time in a year. But at what cost? The Bank of England walking this real economic tightrope, because you get these fears of recession swirling again. So I want to hear from you. Are you worried about the impact a rate rise could have on your business? We've already been hearing from small businesses, from hairdressers. We heard from a cafe as well. If you look around your workplace, do you think things aren't moving in the right direction here? Do you fear about what it might mean for your job? What about your mortgage? We're getting loads of listeners and viewers getting in contact about mortgages and where they go from this. Rent as well. Landlords saying, well, what are we meant to do when we're seeing these rises in the mortgage rates that we're having to face? Or maybe you're hoping for a better return on your savings. Let's get some savers getting in contact with an idea of how things are looking for you. Let's get that picture. And more broadly, if you're looking at it on a more kind of macro level, are the bank's tactics working for you? The idea of higher interest rates taming inflation. Is there an alternative to that path? It's an issue that matters to each and every one of us, all of us, one way or another. Is a rate rise good for you?
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Call free 08085 909 693. Text 85058. Text will be charged at your standard message rate. Message on WhatsApp 08085 909 693. Visit bbc.co.uk/5live terms for our terms of use and privacy notice.
Well, despite saying goodbye to our viewers on the BBC News channel, we are still with you. We're still with our listeners on 5 Live. And at just after 10 o'clock, it's time to get the news from Karishma Patel.
Thank you, Chris. The Bank of England is expected to raise its main interest rates later for the 14th time in a row. It's hoping to tackle high inflation, but some analysts are concerned that the higher cost of borrowing could cause a recession. Greenpeace has been staging a protest at the Prime Minister's house in Yorkshire. Activists are on the roof and have covered the building in black fabric. They're protesting the government's decision to allow more oil and gas drilling in the North Sea. Downing Street says the police are there and that Rishi Sunak won't apologise for ensuring the UK's energy security. The Deputy Prime Minister, Oliver Dowden, says asylum seekers will be moved onto the Bibby Stockholm barge in the coming weeks. Plans have been delayed after safety concerns. And Donald Trump is due to appear in court in Washington later, where security is being ramped up. He's accused of conspiring to change the results of the 2020 election. He's also facing separate charges relating to his handling of classified documents and the falsifying of business records. He denies all charges.
BBC Radio 5 Live.
I listen every day.
I trust the presenters.
There are lots of people calling us tonight. The voice of the UK.
BBC Radio 5 Live with Chris Warburton.
And good morning. Great to have your company this morning. That question we're asking, is a rate rise good for you? So, the reason we're asking it this morning is because, again, lots of expectation. The Bank of England is going to increase its base rate to 5.25%. OK, so from the current 5%. Remember, inflation did fall much more than expected in June, actually. It's at 7.9%, its lowest level in over a year. Sure, but it's still nearly 4 times higher than the Bank of England's target of 2%. The TUC as saying a rate hike today is the very last thing that we need as an economy. Manufacturing figures last month, the worst for the year, which they're pointing out as well. House prices falling, fastest rate in 14 years last month. Mortgage costs hitting a 15-year high. So if you own a business, if you're looking to buy, then if you're one of those coming off a fixed rate, then do call this morning, 08085 909 693. And what about savers? As I say, this should be your moment. The thing is, the financial watchdog has already this week been...
Welcome back. You are watching BBC News. Apologies, we have just been dealing with some technical problems, but let's return to our top story now, which is here in the UK. Homeowners, renters and business owners are waiting for an interest rates decision in 2 hours' time from the Bank of England. It is expected to increase them for the 14th time in a row.